Hi everybody, this is Miguel Rubio Lastra for the podcast KodigoK. We are very lucky today because we have a principal artist at Quantic Dream on Star Wars Eclipse.
Yes.
He's a freelance art director and mentor at Think Tank Training Center. He's also a music producer, under the name of E3.
We pronounce it E3, yeah.
Good to know. We will put all of this information in the description of the podcast, so everybody can see more clear because of the, sometimes the pronunciation. My pronunciation in English is terrible.
It's beautiful.
So I will write. We will write there. More things. He has been working in an 8A games, AAA games, one text demo, 2 movies, 2 live shows. He was doing art direction in an indie studio. He was working, and it looks with so many works, and he started just only 8 years ago with an internships as environment artist in Kiloton Games in France. So we have today with us Najim Filali Saksak. How is everything, Najim?
Everything good, Miguel, and you?
Good.
Thank you for this awesome introduction. That's so weird hearing it from someone else. I usually rewrite my LinkedIn every single 2 months because I wanted to be sure that every word makes sense. It's kind of my ADHD brain that likes to put things into a certain way, and listening to you saying it makes me think, okay, I maybe need to rewrite it like this. I maybe need to stop saying how much games or shows I worked on and just put the names. It's awesome. But thanks, man. Thanks for having me during
you have done a lot of things just turning 8 years, and you told me that you have been in so many places. You told me your parents were in Morocco. They moved to Belgium. Let me know more.
So my parents, both of them are Moroccans. My father is from Nador, and my mom is Rif. So she's Amazigh from the north of Morocco. They moved.
I suppose you speak Arabic, right?
Well, listen, I'm actually learning because I couldn't speak before. I'm actually learning, and I'm not learning only Arabic. I'm learning also Rif, which is the language of my mother, and it's like a kind of nearly another language, and it's so difficult, but I love it so far. And I'm learning it through music. I'm really into rap, and there's a lot of Moroccan rappers and Amazigh rappers that are really good into the game right now, and it helps with the lyrics. Just reading and trying to rephrase it. But yeah, so I was born in Belgium. I was born in Brussels. Then after I was 3 years old, I moved to the Flemish part of Belgium, and that's why I learned. That's why I spoke Dutch. So I mainly did my whole scholarity in Dutch, and I started French school when I was probably 13 years old, 14 years old, something like this. And
it was hard because when you started with 13 years, maybe at the beginning is not easy because that is not like some language that's is easy to mean.
So the advantage was that at home I was speaking French with my parents, but at school I was speaking Dutch. And when I moved to the French school, the difficulties I still have right now, the difficulties that I had was writing in French. So I made a lot of spelling mistakes, for example. This is something that was a little bit difficult. And just generally, I was struggling with how I need to think, if I think in Dutch or if I think in French. And that's something with time that was a little bit mixed up in my brain, Right now, I'm thinking, when I think, I hear my voice in French and a little bit in English.
Really?
And that's because I worked a lot with English-speaking people. But in the past, it was between Dutch and French.
Yeah. But in the studio, which language you use usually in the studio? Because you're working on site, right? It's not on remote.
Right now, it's hybrid. So I've made the choice to be as much as possible in the studio. So right now, I'm from Monday till Thursday in the office. And usually Friday I do work from home. Right now, like today, I went to the office because I wanted to have like people next to me to answer a kind of questions, etc., etc. But usually I take the Friday at home. But at the office, we speak mainly French, but there's a couple of people that speak English. And when we have the meeting calls, etc., with the team in Paris, well, they all speak French, so it's French.
I love
but
it.
in
I
Montreal,
love this kind of polyglottal culture is beautiful.
That's what I like in Montreal, man. To be honest, it's the kind of multiculturality that we have. We have people from a lot of different places. Sometimes I hear Spanish, sometimes I hear Chinese. You know, it's awesome. I like it because it creates diversity in thoughts. Also,
awesome.
You know,
awesome. Yeah. So beautiful. So after that, you were in Paris, right?
Yeah. So I did my studies in Belgium. I had my first internship in Paris. I did a 3-month internship for Kiloton Games. Then I got my degree in game arts. Then I had my first job in Lyon, in France, for a studio called Chrysalide. And it got taken over, I don't know what the business technical term is, by Ivory Tower Ubisoft. So we were already working for them on the crew too, and then they just absorbed them.
So you started in a very high place already, huh?
It was cool. It was considered outsourcing, but we were working directly inside of the Ivory Tower Ubisoft structure. So it was a cool experience. It was my second racing game. In my internship, it was another racing game. And after that, I needed to go outside of the racing games genre because I wanted to explore other things. And I went to Valencia. That's where I met Juan.
1 year, right?
1 year in Elite 3D.
What did you miss there from Valencia?
The food, first of all.
The food.
Yeah, because like I told you, I'm a foodie, so it's always I judge things by food, unfortunately.
You are lucky. You are lucky because you have tried a lot of different, taste flavors.
The people, though, and this is something, and I already hear in my brain the Spanish people saying, "Yeah, he does it on purpose," but I love the Spanish culture, man. The people in general, the mentality of Spain. They have strong values, strong ethics. Compared to other places, and this is something I highly respect, you know. Good. And that's something I've discovered when I was in Valencia. I stayed there 1 year and a half because I was still in my first years where I wanted to travel, to discover things. For me, it was critical in the beginning of my career, and even if you look at my resume, even a little bit at the end, at a certain moment, to not always be stuck at a place and be like, okay, if I see that I can evolve somewhere else, I can move. You see? I was comfortable with that idea, and this is something I was always very transparent with all of my bosses, you know?
So it's part of your life, right? To go to another place, to know different cultures.
To know different things, So I was there for 1 year and 1 year and a couple of months, and I was then contacted by MPC Vancouver to work on Detective Pikachu and Aquaman. That was my dream to go to Canada. So, you know, I said yes directly. I went there, stayed there for 5-6 months, and then the studio closed. So it got rid of all the artists. I went away, took my bags, went back to Belgium, waited for a new visa to work in Montreal because I got contacted by another company in Montreal called Reflector.
Wow, but it was so fast. Just only in 5 months you work for Detective Pikachu and Aquaman.
Yeah, 2 movies. It was shots after shots. So I went there. I had a game. Let's talk about it. I had a game art pipeline. Yeah. And I went there, and they were like, "Welcome to the VFX industry." And I was like, "God damn, I know nothing about I knew stuff about the VFX pipeline when it comes to programs like mainly Maya with RenderMan, a little bit of Nuke, a little bit of Marie. So all of those little things, I knew about it in a certain abstract form. But once I arrived there, I understood that they wanted to implement a little bit more of real-time stuff. And that's why they contacted me and other people that also had games experience. And once I was there, I realized that I started falling in love with the VFX pipeline as well. You know,
but it was not intentional, right? It was like it was your hobby. We cannot say hobby, but maybe like you are doing something with VFX, and after that they called you, and you start to go deeper with that.
Yeah, deeper. So
background, you have a very big background.
Oh, thanks, man. And I've met other people with such a background as well, and that's why I discovered that some people like to have like those kind of different experiences, and that's why I already had the kind of appreciation for environment art. But once I arrived in PC, I started seeing people working on deeper environments when it comes to details, colors, and I was like, man, this is something I want to do. So I started continuing specializing myself in environment in a more generalist workflow, be it for games and movies. So I started approaching it in a way that I knew my personal portfolio. I didn't want it to be only game art. I wanted it to be a kind of environment generalist portfolio. Someone that could deal with movie shots and games. It's still a work in progress. Every portfolio is still a work in progress, but I know that it's something that I'm still like keeping as a goal at a certain point. So yeah. Then after that, I moved back so I waited for a visa in Belgium, went to Reflector. I was working in a department of new media. We were working in live shows and stuff like that. The department closed itself. So I was contacted while the department was closing by another studio where I worked on Dungeons and Dragons as a senior, then a lead 3D artist. Awesome experience. Loved Jeff Hatton. If he hears us, I loved this boss. Was one of the greatest bosses I've had with the bosses of Elite 3D. I don't want to put favoritism, but Jeff Hatton was someone that I was very much into the caring and listening part of his employees, and that was awesome. I stayed there for 2.5 years. After that I went to 1047 Games. That was as a full-time freelancer. So on the next game after Splitgate, so they released Splitgate, there's their next game. I stayed there 1 year and a couple of days, I think. It was freelancer. I needed some more stability when it comes to the job. I wanted somewhere where I was like, okay, I know I have all the benefits of having a full-time job, this and that. So that's why I joined Quantic Dream.
It's very like, I mean, it's very like a stable, very, not stable, I mean, very natural. Your way has been very natural. It's like, I love to move. I move. Now it's time to be more stable.
I think that's exactly how I wanted it to be. For me, stability didn't need to happen. You know, there was I went a lot with. It's not confrontation is not the good word, but a lot of discussion with old friends of mine, where they were like, "Why do you move so much? And why haven't you stayed more than a year?" I said, "Why would I if I can still learn new things?" You know.
Yes.
And I've discovered a kind of tangent during my career where I was like, well, I learned a lot of different. I forgot. I worked for Blizzard as well a year before 1047. So after Dungeons and Dragons, I worked for Blizzard a year.
Yes.
That was also full-time work at home.
Yeah.
And I left Blizzard, and closely after the layoffs and the cancel of the project happened, and that's why I started working for 1047. Nice. Blizzard was cool. That's the parenthesis where Blizzard was a big dream of mine. I arrived there and I was like, well, it's a studio like any others, which is a good thing though. What made it particularly interesting was seeing it from the inside, you see? Like it's, you know, when there's like a dream of yours and you're like, wow, I want to be there, I want to be there, I want to be there. Then you disconnect a little bit of this dream. And then once it happens, you're like, it's okay.
That's cool. Like any other place. But there is a huge difference, because I think maybe what is the huge difference between the studios are more like the people who you work with and the team, and more than the company, right?
I had a great team, though. That's something I can't complain about. I really had people in my team that were the most talented that I have seen, and not only in like, I don't like this word hard skills, soft skills, but not only in their 3D knowledge into their pipelines, but also as the human side. There were people that had such good souls. Like, really, they were very caring. They were interested not only into making great games, but into cultivating great teams.
Yes.
And that's something that
I agree with that. I agree with that.
That was the good thing about Blizzard. And I'm super sad that the game was canceled. I'm super sad that the spirit of Blizzard is a little bit less than what it was, but it's normal. It's evolution of a lot of companies. But it was a great experience. I'm sure they will come out with other great games. But yeah, so I've moved before the layoffs and before the game was canceled, and I worked then at 1047. And I met at 1047 was the place where we had so much people from around the world, and the boss was so careful about taking superstars from around the world, and it was so difficult on the ego.
Really?
I was,
you were there for almost 1 year, right?
Yeah, I was there, 11 months-ish, nearly a year. I was there as a principal environment artist. I was in charge of the biomes team and the biome structure, so I made from the grounds up the whole biomes team for the making of natural environments for the game. And people were so skilled. It was insane. So, as an artist, musician, you always, when you hear other people, you're like, when they're really good, you're like, wow, they're really good. There's a kind of, it's not jealousy, but it's like envy. It's like, okay, I want to be inspired. I want to be as good. And that's what 1047 did for me a lot. I've met a lot of people that were super highly skilled. During the show and tells, I was impressed.
It's a very, very good time to learn a lot from other people.
Yeah, that was that. And it was a very fast-paced environment, a very productive environment. I did what I had to learn. It was great as a freelancer, but then, second baby, everything, I was like, okay, I need to find some place to calm down, do my job, and also be in a certain more stable working schedule. That's where Quantic Dream contacted me. They were like, yeah, we work on Star Wars. We're interested. And I knew a friend there, and he was talking so much good things. And I was like, yeah, maybe I'm going to consider taking the interview. I did the interview.
So the networking works.
Of course. Always. We don't want to work with assholes. Like, I don't like this word because it means a lot of things as well, assholes. But we don't want to work with people that we know are going to be much more of a hassle working in a team than having the good spirits,
Yes, very important. I agree. It's very important. If you're working with a team, it's like a chain. So it's very important for everybody to work at the same time with a good rhythm, with good environment. Perfect.
Yeah, that's this, and be comfortable with changes. Quantic Dream has a certain way of working. They worked on a certain type of game, so they have their certain type of workflow that is not really similar to other game studios. And that's what I liked. It's a new challenge, and I was like, yeah, I need to add this again. I grew up with a lot of games. So from Quantic Dream, like Heavy Rain. I was a huge fan of Heavy Rain. And and then I went to Paris 3 weeks ago for about 3 weeks. Yeah.
And you told me you were working. Let me know, please, again, why you were there, because, like, for me, it was a surprise because an artist like you, I think, what can you do? Nothing else. I mean, your technique, talking about the hard skills, you are really good, but no, you told me, no. I was there to
learn and to meet the team. Because the thing with game studios is the fact that, like, any kind of, it's at a certain level of job role. Let's say if you become a senior or principal or a lead or an art director, whatever, any role that requires you to have a kind of supervision to a certain workload requires you to relearn certain things, you see? So for me, I had a certain way of working. each time I joined another company, my work style changed. The way I was committing work changed. And this time at Quantic Dream, it was pretty much something that I was not used to, in a good way, of course. It was, okay, they work that way, they work with this engine, they work with this, okay, it's Maya again, it's not Blender anymore. And they were like, well, you're going to open up a team in Montreal. We would like to meet you. We would like to train you in Paris to show you a little bit how it is, and team build, basically. So I was there for 3 weeks. Took the flight from Montreal.
And working with the workflow and pipeline, that is really makes a huge difference between what, or is just totally different way to work, or really the way how they work is really very effective.
I would say,
and if you can say about the how the workflow, please go ahead.
For the type of game they're making, the workflow, in my opinion, is very effective. There's always things that we can correct or course correct. Whenever I join a company and I see a workflow, I try in the limit of my role to see what I can improve. If I can see that this improves my workflow and the workflow of someone else's department, I try to be collaborative and say, hey, there's a little hint, I've discovered this, maybe this can improve that, etc., etc. But in that way, Quantic Dream is known to have a very cinematographic approach to how they make games. And the way they set up their team, the way they work was really much orientated towards having games that feel like movies. And that's something I really liked. And that's the approach I had loved and still love to do with a mix of VFX and games.
And what is exactly the difference?
It's without entering into details about what kind of tools they're using and what kind of things, it's more about how they approach a task. Their eye to detail, for example. The fact that every single thing needs to look good up close and from far. The fact that it's not only treated as a game asset, but as a potential movie asset. You see? The way they move the cameras, the way that we see actors coming inside of the studio and doing motion capture. Quantic Dream is known for all of this. And for me, it was like upping the quality of how I made certain things. Right now, I'm the first and foremost, I'm the first artist in Montreal studios. So Quantic Dream in Montreal opened up 4 years-ish ago. And they hired me 2 months ago as the first artist in Montreal. So in Montreal, there was no artists yet. There were animators. I agree. They're also artists. When I mean artists, it's more about texture, prop, environment, modeling, etc. There were animators and level designers and programmers. That's the main focus there was. Yeah. And I've joined as the first artist there. So for them, it was something new. So they needed to have, as a future lead, a future supervisor of a team, they needed me close in Paris to train me and to give me a couple of context about what the job role will be, and to see if it was cool for me, because it's a relationship as well. When you work for someone and when you work with someone, you need to see if it works in the both ways, you see? And it clicks. I love it. So it was training me about how they work, about how they see things, about how they give feedback.
Loving, man, because I think it's very, if they pay you for 3 weeks to go there to Paris, is because it works. I mean, this kind of
or to discover if it really works, because that's where the I've met the team from Paris only via webcam in the beginning during my interview process. So once they saw me in real life, there's other things that come into play, like not especially the word is not social skills, but if you're someone that wants to lead or someone that wants to supervise things in general, there's also the way you're going to communicate it with other people.
Because the communication is not just only the verbal or even the visual, even the visual part, the non-verbal part of the communication is very important.
Exactly. And that's something I've rediscovered with the hybrid work. Going back into office, etc. That's something I first... I like it. I like when we give the choice to someone to be in the office, or if the work allows it, to do it from home. I've did it for nearly 3.5 years, work from home. I loved it. No, nearly 4 years even. I loved it. I liked it. But there was a moment where I was like, okay, well, now I need to see people in real life a little bit. Just when it comes to building social things at a work, and to see also other people as human beings and not just images behind the camera, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
that's something I lost touch a little bit at a certain moment. And it was a bit, I was a bit anxious, to be honest. The first day of interview, when I went into the office, I was like, okay, back in the office, talking with people, shaking. I hate shaking hands.
Like the first day in the school, right?
Exactly. I was like, hello. No, but like,
I'm the new guy.
Exactly. I used to have, even though a little bit hyperhidrosis, so my hands sweat a lot. So whenever there's someone that wants to shake my hand, my anxiety peaks up and I start sweating, and I'm like, no, I'm sorry, let's fist bump like this, it's better. But yeah, it's and so far, man, it has been great. The project is awesome. There's the trailer available on YouTube, Star Wars Eclipse. The project is cool. The team members are insanely talented. Some people have been there for 25 years. It's like they're veterans. They know what they talk about. They know what they're good at and what they're not good at. There's no egos when it comes to that.
They've been working together for a long time ago, right?
Yeah, a lot of them. For me, that was the first challenge I had. I was the little new guy. Coming into a team that has been working for so long together. There has been a couple of junior artists that have joined the team. Very talented bunch of folks. I don't know how they find so talented people, but they're in Paris. And man, it was one of the dreams with Blizzard, Quantic Dream.
And when is coming Star Wars Eclipse?
Eclipse? That's a secret. Otherwise we're waiting a little bit too much. Right now we're floating it. We're gonna announce it when it's gonna be out and when we can announce it. But right now it's a full secret. There's a trailer available if you want to get a little bit of adrenaline, you know.
Yeah. I see. And now, so you have. Let me know a little bit about your career as a music producer in i3.
So, I started exploring music. So I have a daughter of 1 year and 8 months old right now. She's called Ellie. And I started exploring music since I was
probably always.
13? Probably always. But like seriously, I started exploring it at 13 years old with 3D loops. Then I stopped. Then I took it again when I was at high school. Like 20 years old, I started doing music with Game Boys.
Really?
Like for real, I was connecting game, and people were like, the funny thing, when I was doing lives sometimes, like live shows, and people were like, he's not playing any music, that's bullshit. But there was a program in the Game Boy called LSDJ. It's like, people can look it up. It's a program that is like a tracker where you need to input numbers and tonalities and instruments that are synced and all of this. Anyways, and I was doing live 8-bit inspired breakcore music. Then I stopped it, and once before my daughter was born, she's now 1 year and 8 months old. A couple of months before, I was like, I want to do music again. So I started doing Ableton again, doing electronic music like I used to, and it sticked with me because once she was born, I was on parental leave. I couldn't do anything when I had a break. I was so tired, and the only thing I could do was playing music.
And what kind of music do you produce? Because we will see, because you have a channel in Spotify.
Yeah. Right now, like I said, it's a bit empty. There's one tune because I'm always super perfectionist and I'm waiting to have a pack to release. But I really like ambiance electronic. I like everything that is a little bit more faster in BPM, like breakcore, everything that goes above 170 BPMs, drum and bass. You know, I have a little bit of a kink for drum and bass because I grew up with drum and bass. But electronic music in general is an approach that I like to take, be it ambient, be it more party. I DJ'd as well in a couple of places and at friends' places, and nothing too serious when it comes to DJing. I just wanted to explore it. But with music producing, I
But
wanted
you
to take it.
DJ as a working some place.
Yeah, some like in bars.
So if you jump to this, it's not like just only for fun. You need to be really good. Your performance should be like if people is listening to you, is because
I'm going to tell you something.
Good.
I am still approaching it as fun, because whenever I started transforming something from fun to professional, I started being too serious about it, you know?
I see.
Right now, for me, music, I wanted it to be my sacred place where I know I can have as much fun as I want, and I'm not expecting anything from this. You see what I mean?
Yes.
And I hope it's going to stay like this, and I'm learning every day. Like, I don't have a classical background when it comes to music. I'm still learning piano a lot on my own. Like, when it comes to electronic music composition, like all the rules of composition, chorus, verses, bridge, all of this.
Harmony.
I've learned it on my own, man. Like YouTube tutorials, listening to other people, jams, a lot of jam. Wow. So what I used to do just a couple of months before my daughter was born, I went to a friend of mine. I brought a couple of my machines in the background there.
Yes.
I went to his apartment.
Because you have everything there. You have the mixer. You have the pad.
I was taking it, though, in my backpack. I went to his apartment. We plugged it in with MIDI cables and everything.
Yes.
And TRS cables. And
professional music producer.
Yeah, we were just jamming. My friend was having a couple of beers. We were smoking. We had the awesome time. I need to redo it again. And we were just jamming.
There in Montreal, you have a lot of music culture, right?
That's what I like about Montreal. It's the biggest artistic hub where I went to. I'm going to tell you that way. Like, when I was in Spain, it was normal to listen to people playing music.
Yes, the street.
Like guitarra, everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone. So that's what I like. This culture I liked. When I went away, I had a hard time finding it back in Vancouver. And in Montreal, I saw a kind of underground culture that I really loved, you know, where I knew someone that did a jam party at his or her place, and people were bringing instruments, and it was at 3 a.m. during a Thursday, you see, and stuff like this. And this is Montreal.
I see. But at the streets, or people, they have their own place to
it
play.
Happens. But Montreal is more of let's do a party at his or her home more than outside. You see?
Yeah.
There's terraces, bars, everything. But people like to gather. I have one tomorrow. You know, I have a place tomorrow where we go in a loft and people play music. And this is the part that influenced my music the most. It was socializing and discovering other people's music. And starting listening to their things. And I saw people with like no tracks on Spotify, like no online presence, doing some crazy things. And I reevaluated my whole approach to music, and it became a little bit more natural. Still working on it, though.
It's this kind of like people is the necessity of the people. It's not like I need that. It's not like it's my work. I want to everybody can see me, how I play, how I do my music. No, it's like people, they need to play because it's part of their life. Crazy.
Exactly, man.
It's crazy.
I think you understand it. This is why I've removed Facebook and Instagram a couple of months ago, for a couple of those reasons, actually, because I wanted to reframe everything towards things doing it for me more than doing it for others.
Yeah. Because do you think it's necessary? Because, for example, if you want, as an artist, 3D artist, and you have your career, you have your CV, so you don't need to show anything in your portfolio because it's already there. But as a musician, don't you need to put like publish or something, or just only you have your music because you love and you don't need to share in the social media?
I think it's for both approaches. I think actually, during a night out, there's a friend of mine that asked me, but are you too afraid of people not seeing your work? I'm still I have still social media. I have ArtStation still.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm going to delete it at the moment. I don't know. But I don't engage into having this, hey, this is what I've done, go check it out. I have ArtStation, I have my website, I try to maintain my Spotify, I release stuff on this, I share it with my close friends of mine through WhatsApp, or because I don't even have Facebook Messenger anymore, I use WhatsApp and my phone number. But and then I see how it grows from there. Sometimes I do miss connecting with random strangers around the world. But to be honest with you, a lot of political events have played a lot on the fact that I wanted to leave social media. I wanted to have a little bit silence with all the noise that was happening.
Yes, a lot. Because I think, for example, for artists like you, it's very important. At least there is a kind of an artist that they need to produce but for themselves. But kind of people like you need to share with others, because art is part of the communication with others. So to share in the social media, I think is good.
Yeah, I think it's fine. People can engaging in social networks is okay. It's cool. But me personally, and I saw others as well, I lost the track of what it was really. ArtStation, I still kind of like it because it's orientated towards art. You gotta share art.
And it's not like, for example, if you go to Instagram or other social media, you need to say, okay, I need to put these hashtags because I want visibility. I need to do this. What can I have to get more likes? My feeling and other people's when I talk to them is like, no, ArtStation is your art is good, so people, they will see your art. That's all.
And that's it. And it helps as well getting disconnected from the like culture, because whatever people say, we are all creatures that like appreciation, and we like people seeing our stuff and appreciating our stuff.
Yes, and we are artists.
Yeah, and I believe that there's deeper things than a thumbs up. You see? If someone doesn't put a thumbs up on something that you've did, doesn't mean he or she doesn't like it. There's different ways of communicating it. And social media tended to restrain the human emotion towards a like, a dislike, an anger emoticon, a sad emoji, and a surprised emoji.
Isn't that very superficial? Because as you say, sometimes the likes it doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything, man. It doesn't mean anything. Like literally, it doesn't mean anything. Right now in Quebec, they want to forbid the social media under 16 years old. If you're under 16, I don't know still completely where to stand with it, because I also
think it will not work.
That's the difficulty. But I also believe that there has been so much damage done by social media that's there's no opinion to have around it. There's scientific proof around the damages on teenagers that it can have, self-image, the suicide rates have just climbed up since we started using social medias in our day-to-day lives.
But instead of forbid, they could educate people.
I think that's that's why I tell you I'm not totally sure about where to stand with it, because I don't believe forbidding completely certain things are going to help people. I believe educating on it is going to help more. Like you said, educating. It's like with the drugs, man. It's like if you forbid all drugs or certain drugs.
Yes, once you have the chance to, you can say, okay, now I have the chance. So.
And then you're going to get in danger to acquire what you want. It's, it's more around this. But anyways, I've left the social medias kind of course, and I went more out there speaking with other people, and I've discovered that it's not completely uncommon to not have social media, because there's a lot of other people like me that wanted to disconnect of it. And you know what? I had a lot of anxiety, and they all vanished completely. Like the anxiety that was connected by what do he or she or they think about me? Are they talking behind me? Are they saying this? What happens there? What if the fear of missing out? All of this just went away. Yes. Once I went out of all of this. And when I started doing art, again, without the social media aspect, I was on my art. My soul was in it and on it. And the approach was more natural.
Yeah, so many. Which projects are you working on now? Because it's also because you have done a lot of things, man.
So since a month, since I went back to, actually it started a little bit before I go to Paris anyways, but it started really with me joining Quantic Dream. I was like, well, I need to upgrade my workflow a little bit. I need to, maintain my kind of pace and the way I work. So what I did was I did a challenge to myself. And I was like, okay, I'm going to pick every single 3D software that there is out there. Modo, Cinema 4D, Blender, Maya, 3ds Max. Let's not talk about soft image, like all the more culprits, not culprits, but the uncommon ones,
And you include all of them in the workflow.
So I've just installed them on my personal computer. And I was like, I'm going to use all of them with a tutorial, and I'm going to see which one fits me the best for the kind of personal work that I want to do. Nice. Because what I wanted to concentrate my portfolio on right now was more of a generalist approach with, like ILM works a lot this way. They work with 3ds Max, V-Ray, Forest Pack. Maybe they're changing a lot of their workflows as well. I see some people turning to real time. But I wanted to understand a little bit more what the fuzz was all about each one of those software and which one had the most attractiveness to. You see? Yeah. I'm someone that I need to have like a direct input with how I work. What do I mean by that? If I launch a software and it takes me forever, and I know people are going to tell me there's shortcuts, there's this and that, but if it takes me too long to start modeling or creating something, it bothers me. Yes. I like something that has a direct input. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try all of those softwares. I'm going to deep dive into a tutorial that brings me to the modeling skills that I deem okay with those softwares. And now I'm sticking with one, 3ds Max so far.
So your point of view, man, is a
it's my point of view.
really good artist, a director.
So I was a Blender user though. I was a Blender user, and I wanted something that had a little bit more of a generalist workflow. And right now I'm sticking with 3ds Max and Houdini. Houdini that I'm still learning.
So many people will think that you're a trader.
Imagine Houdini. It's wow. It's Houdini. It's still something that I have like very basic knowledge of. I'm trying to learn it since 1 year.
To ride.
Oh my god! It's a pipeline. No, it's multiple pipelines in a box. It's a tool that creates pipelines. It's it has been life-changing when it comes to my understanding of how computer graphic works. Houdini. It's
so with So go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say it's just a crazy software. But I think I know where you're gonna bounce with your question. So I'm curious about what you were going to ask.
No, because I want to ask, because so many softwares nowadays, so many things coming. The AI. Yeah. Crazy. How the industry? What do you think the expectations of the industry?
So for me, the expectations of I had my mental thoughts about the AI thing and everything. I've did my part into the no AI on ArtStation thing because I was super, and still now very scared is not the right word, but concerned about the direction that it was taking, like clearly stealing images. There were a lot of things.
How to use the tool.
That's the thing. For me, Midjourney is not a tool. It's a thing that, and I know I'm gonna probably a lot of people are gonna disagree with me, but it's something based on a lot of stolen images. So I was blocked by it. I was like, okay, listen, I'm an artist. I don't like if other people steal my work. It's like if I was sampling someone playing guitar and then I was releasing a cassette without his or her authorization, and then I said, this is my music. I'm like, no, this is not okay. It's like I've worked. I sweat working and improving myself every single day, and art is much more than a final image. It's so much more. And I think AI made me understand what a soul is when it comes to art. It made me understand the importance of the human soul during the creative process. And this is something we're disconnecting humanity of a lot. With a lot of recent political events and not recent political events, with a lot of the war, the changes of temperature, like a lot of things are disconnecting us from our humanity, and AI was taking. Excuse me.
Yeah, from our soul. It's disconnecting
from our soul,
our origin.
And with time, I saw people saying it was normal. I was like, no, that's not normal. It's probably means something deeper, and we need to have a discussion around it. AI has a great place to have in your society. Like every technological advancement, it has its place.
Yes.
But the way it's being handled right now has been the most horrible way.
We need to learn. We need to learn how to work with. And how to use that in terms of benefit. So,
of course. And it can improve pipelines. There's a couple of instances where I used AI. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. Even in my work, when it comes to writing mails, for example, like I make sometimes spelling mistakes, and the way I structure my words are sometimes a little bit incorrect, not especially incorrect, but they don't have as much impact as I want to. Sometimes what I do before writing a mail or writing something to a friend or a long message or whatever, I just make AI help me, whatever tool that helps you writing text. I take a look, I compare it, I reread it. I don't let it run myself. I reread myself. And I'm like, okay, this makes sense. I can mix the both. That's a situation where I used AI. Another one where I used AI, a tool that I really liked, was compiling, like it's like a video to text kind of thing. I was putting videos inside of this thing, videos that I found on YouTube, whatever.
Yeah, to the transcriptions.
Yeah, all the transcriptions. And I was like, okay, I have text that I can use on my workflow. For example, instead of writing a tutorial down, so the shortcut is Control-S, I was just putting it inside of the AI tool, and I had the transcription, and I was like, okay, now I have a text of it. Or I was recording myself, and then I had this. Those are tools that help me day to day. I tried, I've tried in the beginning when Midjourney came out, I've tried it. I saw the strengths that it had, but then there was the whole legal aspect and the stolen thing. Once we learned about it, I was like, dude, I'm done with it. It's
It's the point that they need to arrange with.
But there's this, and artistically, let me think. So I don't say anything bullshit, but like artistically, is there any AI tool that I have been using? I tried Stable Diffusion at a certain moment to see how it can improve paint overs or concept arts.
Yes.
But it was too slow for me as a process generally, and it was disconnecting me from something that I liked.
And not easy to control, because maybe you want to add something and not, but you cannot control with so many details. Maybe you spend more time working with the prompts.
You're becoming a prompt owner, and what I like at the end of the day, or even during my work day, is like I take my tablet and
it will be faster.
And I draw, and it's an exercise that I like doing for my brain, for everything else, and it was making design choices that I was not connected to, and I was like, no, for me, AI, as you're not gonna find one single image, not one inside of my portfolio that contains any AI imagery. As this is not what I sell. I sell my work, and that work comes from me, and is inspired by what I have lived and what I have seen throughout all my years. And if it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. But it comes from me. It's my human interpretation.
You're right. And Najim, to finish, because maybe it looks like there is a mess now that is crazy, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel, right? So what do you think is the new projects, or how people they can, how to say, So what do you think about how is going everything with the industry? Because nowadays people talk about everything is going bad, or with the AI the world will be destroyed because
a lot of it's not negativity. It's with honesty. It comes from a good place from all of those people. It's normal. A lot of people are losing their jobs. Unfortunately, the industry is changing in a very special direction. Teams are getting smaller. A lot of companies are more driven by ethics that are less and less closer to artistic values and products. Not all of them. A lot of companies are striving towards having still this kind of human approach to work, I believe for us, 2023 and 2024 we're still in 2024, are the years where it was like, it's a tough time. It's a tough time where people have lost a lot of their jobs in the VFX because of not the protest.
Because I don't know the word in English, but I know. Yes.
Anyway,
they say I don't want to work.
I don't want to work, but like with good reasons. And most of them, it's AI taking over, or pay that are not good enough, and working conditions, and etc.
Yeah, this that controversy with the VFX because of some directors, they don't recognize the work of these people, and it's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of different topics and all of the whys and hows. I have good feelings about how this thing has happened.
Yeah.
The serpent that bite on his tail, it's an infinite, or life is just this. Okay, yes. This has happened in the past. It's happening now. It's gonna happen again. Those are cycles.
Yes.
And people need to be resilient. I can also lose my job at any moment. If something crashes, or if we need to be very resilient to it. We need to be calm, patient. We need to find solution Bs immediately. When this layoff started to happen, and this is my part of being realistic, when the layoff started happening, I was like, okay, well, I need to be prepared to take another job. I need to be prepared to put my ego down and start looking for a job as a cashier, as a security officer in the metro stations, as someone that works in a flower shop, whatever, something that brings money. And now what I realize is that the best thing that helped me getting above all of this, being it mentally or in job stability, was constantly changing my approach to work and how I work. So I went from full-time jobs, Blizzard, they started doing layoffs, and then I started freelancing. So I went completely out of my comfort zone, doing full-time freelance, doing my own money calculations, and this and this and that.
This uncomfortable situation gave you the opportunity.
We need to be uncomfortable with this industry. That's the reality. It's because it's an industry that is changing so fast that if we have too much resistance to it, it doesn't work. And I say it from a very privileged position, because I still have a job. I'm happy where I am right now. I know not a lot of people are in the same situation, but resilience and trying to find things that help you in the immediate moment, meaning working anywhere that can help you sustain your family or yourself. Meanwhile, you continue working on your portfolio and try to rejoin another job is the only solution, I believe. Instead of staying there and trying to continue working in industry and not working anywhere else and saying, okay, life is done. It's a very fatalistic kind of point of view. And I believe we need to start staying strong with those kind of things. Connecting. People started realizing that connecting through LinkedIn, all of those things are very valuable during those moments.
LinkedIn probably is the best option right nowadays.
It's the best option. And keep it short and sweet and nice and be realistic. People are not laid off all the time because they're bad at their job. No, there's so many other factors at it, So if you're listening to this podcast and you have been laid off, I don't know what the correct political term is for laid off, or whatever. You are not in your job anymore and you're looking for a new job. Approach it in a way where you are honest with your future employer about what you're looking for, and be honest with yourself. Try to find things that suit you in terms of team mentality, studio mentality, work culture. If you want to work inside of for a studio that you know has used to lay off a ton of employees, don't expect it to change it like this because you want it to change. Start looking for companies that actually care for the workers. That's what I'm trying to focus myself on right now. You know?
Good.
And it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. Maintain your portfolio, maintain your work fresh, work every single day on something. And there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and sometimes the tunnel is very long. And I know, again, it's from a very privileged point of view, but connecting, talking with other people, not staying alone, because you're not alone in this, is the most important thing.
Yeah, to work with a team is better, much better.
Yeah,
you can go. It's a sentence. I don't know. It's a phrase or something. It's like you can go faster by yourself if you go alone, but you can go beyond. You can go far away. You can go
very
far away with that team.
To infinity and beyond, like Buzz Lightyear said.
Very good, very good, very good work. Words.
Thanks.
To finish, Najim.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time.
I talked a lot. There was a lot of great questions. So
very good, and probably we will call you again because it's very good. A lot of beautiful words, wisdom words. So thanks a lot.
I'm learning from good people. It helps. You're part of them.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your words.
Thanks a lot.
See you, Najim. I have all of the best for your projects.
Thank you. You too. Take care. Bye-bye.
See you.